Guten Tag, grüezi miteinander. My name is Eve, and on my channel I discuss how to teach your child German when you are not a native German speaker. Today I will be reviewing 3 books. So the book I'm going to talk to you about now is called Ich und meine Schwester Klara by Dimiter, Inkiow. And this is a Bulgarian-born writer, and he passed away in Munich, Germany. And he wrote over 100 books which were translated in 25 languages. And I feel really grateful that I am able to read in German because I would have never discovered this amazing book, and I absolutely love it. My 7-year-old can read this book, so if you have a young child and they're learning how to read in German, this is a great book. It has kind of like a rhythm to it. It's very, it has a nice flow to it. So this is so easy for my 7-year-old to read and translate. He has zero problem doing that. The pictures are really cute. I love it. It's very simple drawings, but it gets the point across. So the first story, the characters are introducing themselves. And in German, it's so great in German. In English, it just doesn't have the same impact. I'm gonna do a loose translation, but it is so much better in German. So basically, this character is saying, I am me, and this is Klara. And the mom sees 2 spoons on the counter, and the mom says, who ate the ice cream? And the brother says, oh, it was Klara. And then Klara said, no, it was him. The brother says, well, her mouth is so much bigger than mine. She ate so much more than me. But the brother said, but my mouth is small, but I eat faster than her, but no one knows this. So there is a chapter in this book called Das Baby. And you really have to read this in the perspective of a child who lived a long time ago. You can't read this like an adult in 2023 because then you'll be like, well, what's wrong if a woman gets, gains weight and her husband is skinny, for instance. Nowadays, we don't have the same beauty standards as they did years and years ago, which is great. And so the children are saying, oh, this poor Uncle Tony, his wife is getting so fat. And they don't realize a baby is growing in her belly. And the kids are just trying to figure out why she's getting so fat. They don't understand it. And then all of a sudden, Uncle Tony says, oh, we have a baby. He's like, oh, it was in her belly. And they're like, what? Like, it was in her belly, and it blew their minds. And it's hilarious if you just read it in the perspective of the innocence of a child. There's a chapter called Die Torte, and the children see a giant torte in the refrigerator, and the mom says, oh, I have to run out to get some coffee. We have guests coming today. And Klara says, oh, that cake is bad. We don't want to poison our guests. We need to make sure it's okay for the guests to eat. So Klara and her brother start eating this cake like crazy. And then when the mother comes home, she starts screaming and starts saying, you piglets, you ate all the cake. And so they are laying on the ground, and Klara says, see, I told you the torte was bad. And there's a chapter called Das Haare Schneiden. Klara is trying to convince her brother that she's a hairdresser. She's a real hairdresser. And he's like, you're not a real hairdresser. I'm going to prove it to you. And Klara says, yes, I am a real hairdresser, but you have to pay me. Klara's brother pays her 10 pennies. He gives her kaugummi, which is gum, and 4 knöpfe, which are 4 buttons. And then she gives him the haircut, and it's just horrible. And he says, I told you weren't a hairdresser. And then she tells him, for what you pay for it, it's a wonderful haircut. Because he paid her so little, she gave him what he paid for it, which is hilarious. But there are so many fantastic stories in here. They're all hilarious. And you really don't need to be a high level to read the story and understand it. I would say if you're around an A1 level, you can totally read this book, because my 7-year-old can totally read this book and translate it without a problem. This story is about this little boy, and him and his dad were having a great time, always spending time together, playing. And then all of a sudden people come and tell his dad, oh, you're the king now. So then the dad has to be king and do king things and talk to other kings from different lands and speak of kingly things. And the more important his dad gets to be, the more powerful the dad gets to be, he spends less time with his mom and his son. And everyone is telling the son, oh, you're so lucky, your dad's the king, how cool. And he's like, well, it's not really cool because I never get to spend time with him. So the story continues, and then the father realizes it's not worth feeling alone all the time and doing all this. I want to spend time with my wife and my son. So he gives the crown back, and then he continues to play with his son. This is a really cute story. It's obviously more than, the dad being king. The dad realizes the importance and the priorities that are more important to him, and power and, fame and being king is not that important, because at the end of the day, his son and his wife are the most important thing to him. The people he loves, he wants to spend time with them. So it's really cute. The pictures are amazing in this book. They're absolutely beautiful. So if you can find this book, I totally would recommend it for your children. So the last book I will discuss today is called Hoed auf Party Ab, and this is by Simone Philippe and Kate Hindley. So this is a really cute story. If you ever read There Was an Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly, it's kind of like that, as in he needs to collect a bunch of things. So he gets invited to a party, and in order to get into the party, he has to wear a hat. And he goes around to the shops, all the hats are sold out. So then he finds a monkey wearing a hat. And he's like, hey, can you come to the party with me, because I need a hat in order to get into this party. And he gets to the door, and then the security guard in front of the door is like, oh, you also need to have a monocle. And so he finds a badger wearing a monocle. He's like, hey, can you come to the party? And then he needs an elephant playing the piano, and then he needs a tutu. And then he gathers all his friends, and then at the end, the security guard is like, oh, you need this. And the boy just flips out and says, this is ridiculous. It says on the invitation all I needed was a hat. And I need to go into Norbert's party in apartment number 32. And the security guard's like, oh, this is not apartment 32. Who's Norbert? So the whole time the little boy is going to the wrong party. And then he finally gets to Norbert's party a little late, and they have a great time. But the pictures are really cute in this. This is really funny. My boys love this story, and hopefully your children will love it too. So that's all I have today. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Dankeschön. Tschüss.